Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to once again have a look at the live radar. We'll have a look at the 5-day precipitation and temperature from the UKMO office run, as we again have some very nice days coming up. But next week, as I said, it is turning much colder, and we'll have a look at the mid-range and long range, having a look at this colder, more unsettled weather we're seeing next week, a real return to winter perhaps. There's still a bit of uncertainty in regards to the severity of the air masses moving in, whether it's going to be just chilly, cold or very cold. There still is a little bit of uncertainty there today, but regardless, it is looking cold and unsettled next week, with temperatures well down on this week and increased precipitation, which could be wintry for some. And we'll have a look at the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the Ensembles at that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So we start on the live radar. At the moment, you can see it is beautiful across the whole of the British Isles. You can see hardly a shower in sight nearest really over, of course, Scandinavia, with the big high pressure in over the top of the UK, looking amazing out there. Temperatures once again will be on the up today, 15, 16, 17 degrees quite widely, not quite as warm as a couple of days ago, sort of Tuesday, Wednesday time, but still it will be really quite good out there. We've got today is going to be amazing, and again tomorrow looks really good, Saturday as well. But Sunday does look like cloud will start to build back in, dropping those temperatures down by a degree or two, and we're on a slowly on the downwards trend, and by probably the middle of next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time, we could be looking at daytime highs 10 degrees lower than now, i.e. sort of 5, 6, 7 degrees. So yeah, it could be very much dropping soon. So if we do have a look at the 5-day precipitation and temperature, now you can see at the moment, this afternoon we're going to be, things are really quite good. Some cloud popping up, some cumulus and fair weather cloud popping up across central areas and northern and western areas, of course, closer to the edge of the high pressure, so more likely to see a little bit of cloud build, but nothing too bad at all, hardly any showers, maybe a few isolated popping up here or there. Tomorrow's going to be even more of a stunning day widely, with very little cloud, a couple clouds popping up perhaps across the spine of the British Isles, but nothing too much at all. But it's through Saturday evening into Sunday, we start to see some fog and some patchy cloud start to build in from the west, from the east, as that high pressure veers more towards Greenland, and we start to pull in more of a northerly or easterly sort of flow. And you can see some showers developing potentially within the thicker cloud, and by Monday it's quite a cloudy day for many areas with a few showers popping off. Some areas, of course, will still see some brightness, and potentially temperatures will still get up into the low, maybe mid-teens perhaps, but nothing too crazy. And by Tuesday we can start to see that flow coming in from the northeast, and you can see showers starting to develop, and you can see all that cloud coming in off the North Sea, showers starting to develop out there. And if we did have a look at the 850 HPA temperatures, you can see that bitterly cold air just to our northeast, -8, -9 degrees at 850 HPA, starting to filter in, and that will be spreading in, turning things much colder. So if we do have a look at those 2-meter temperatures over the next 5 days, you can see earlier this morning, widely mid to low single digits. This afternoon, temperatures once again 15, 16, 17 degrees, maybe 18 degrees in a few spots, and by tonight into tomorrow morning, looking pretty decent in and around sort of 1, 2, 3 degrees overnight. So chilly, but nothing too crazy. And as you can see, by Saturday afternoon, once again, temperatures getting up to around 15, 16, 17 or 18 degrees once again, pretty decent indeed. But as I said, by Sunday, those temperatures are starting to drop, perhaps still 15, 16, 17 degrees in the far west, but with that colder air filtering in from the North Sea, down the east coast it's starting to chill, and central areas only getting up to maybe 12, 13, 14 degrees, and by Monday those temperatures are starting to drop once again, perhaps in the far south, still 15, 16 degrees, but widely mid to low teens instead. And by Tuesday, with that air filtering in off the North Sea, you can see towards the east coast only 7, 8 degrees, far southwest perhaps still seeing mid-teens, but it's turning much colder, and you can see by early hours of Wednesday widespread frost starting to develop as that cold air mass does push in, and I expect Thursday, Friday time to be really quite cold. You can see out in the North Sea temperatures at surface level are only 3 or 4 degrees, very cold, and of course it'll be a few degrees colder over land once that air mass does get in, so turning quite cold next week, really quite cold. So we do have a look at the mid-range forecast, have a look at the GFS, GM and ECMWF. Now, yesterday we were having a look at these runs, and the GFS did sort of not quite go for this very cold spell, and it's doing the same today. Now, by no means is it going mild or anything, it's still going quite cold, but just not quite as cold as the other runs, and I'll explain why when we get there. So we do run through, you see high pressure over the top at the moment, and it does start to move up towards Greenland, and we start to get that air filtering out of the Arctic. But what's sort of holding back this cold air is this low pressure system that's over the top of the UK by Tuesday evening. Other runs have this positioned further eastwards, clearing into Europe, bringing in a direct northerly. The GFS has it very slowly moving through, with that cold air filtering into the low pressure system, really spinning it up, potentially turning very stormy with this. Still cold, with the air still coming generally in from the north, but potentially very stormy with that. So very interesting from the GFS there, and beyond that it remains very unsettled with the wind generally coming in from the north to northwest, and beyond that stays very unsettled with the jet stream position to our south, very unsettled and cold. If I do run it back to have a look at those air masses, now you can see that cold air filtering out of the Arctic, fueling that low pressure system, still cold with below freezing at 850 HPA, getting down to -5 in a few spots as well. So still, as I said, cold, but not quite as cold as some of the runs we'll see in a minute. And we continue to stay on the cold side of the jet stream with low pressure filtering in, and we do see a brief push of very mild air there, but that's not too unexpected with these low pressure systems, and we stay on the cold side of the jet stream generally with a lot of unsettled cold conditions. So yeah, very weird from the GFS today. The ensembles as well have trended slightly milder, but as we'll have a look, there's still plenty of colder runs, and the ECMWF ensembles are very cold as well. So perhaps this is just one of these GFS wobbles we tend to see, where it is almost very bullish early on, but closer to the event sometimes backtracks a bit. But of course, over the next day or two, we will see this resolved, and it'll be very interesting to see whether this low pressure system does develop as the GFS sees it, or whether the other runs are correct. Now, if we have a look at the GM run, it's sort of in the middle, so it does go cold, but not quite as cold as the ECMWF run, but not quite as unsettled as the GFS. So as we see, high pressure ridges up towards Greenland, and we start to pull in that cold northerly wind, but you can see those low pressure systems don't develop as quickly and as significant, but we still get that air coming in from the north and the east, very cold. And at day 10 we're starting to pull low pressure in off the Atlantic, actually turning potentially milder but very unsettled as well. If we do run it back, have a look at these air masses, you can see that very cold air filtering into that low pressure system. See, the UK does go very cold with that -5 line moving through, low dew points, very low thickness levels as well, with that air originating from the Arctic. So it would be cold, but wouldn't be bitterly cold, mid to high single digits likely, and very unsettled with showers plenty, being wintry of course for some of them. And at day 10 we do start to pull in some much milder air from the south, but that's just because we've got a big amplified jet stream. Once this low pressure moves through, I'm sure we'd be becoming colder once again. So very unsettled from the GM, similar to the GFS, but just not quite as vigorous with those low pressure systems. But as we'll see with the ECMWF run now, which, as I said, I've said this before, is the most highly regarded model. So this is why I still put quite a lot of weight in it going very cold. As you'll see, it is very wintry indeed. See high pressure retrogresses up towards Greenland, and we start to pull in a northeasterly wind, and you see that low pressure system heads out towards Europe, not over the top of the UK, pulling that wind directly in from the north and the northeast, bitterly cold. We hang on to that, and you see those low pressure systems are pushed to our south, the blocking over Greenland, very cold indeed. And you look at those upper air temperatures, if I run it back quickly, you see that bitterly cold air heading out the Arctic, -5 line spreading through the whole country, getting down to -10 in a few spots, very cold indeed, staying in that air mass for a good few days, with a lot of wintry showers around. And at day 10 we start to see another plunge of bitterly cold air, low pressure system sliding into this, could be some snow around with this as well. So ECMWF run very much on the cold side. As we'll see with the ensembles, it's not actually an outlier by any means, it's actually what most of the ensembles are going for. So I do suspect the GFS is a bit of an outlier today, and the GM is a little bit of an outlier as well. So if we do have a look at the ensembles, have a look at the 850 HPA temperature and precipitation, over the next couple of weeks. So you can see at the moment we're pretty mild, and then we see this big drop off next week. You can see there is a lot of spread within the GFS ensembles. You can see the operational run is a little bit bizarre, goes cold, but then heads very mild, then cold again, and then very mild. So I do suspect it is a bit of an outlier. You can see the majority though get down to that -5, -6 level with the average. But you can see there is an increased number that are going a little bit milder on this latest run. Very unsettled though. So still up in the air a little bit with this, but it is looking very cold and unsettled regardless of the exact air mass. It's going to be chilly. Whether it's 5-6 degrees or whether it's 7-8 degrees, it's still going to feel cold. So these minute differences in air masses, whether it's -5, -6 degrees or only -2, -3, it's not going to make too much difference to the feel at the surface. Maybe if it's -2, -3, it will cut out any wintry potential. But of course, I think the temperatures and just the general unsettled feel is going to be the biggest impact from this. Longer term, it does look milder with very unsettled conditions around as well. Now, if we look at those 2 meter temperatures, you can see there is big spread next week. Some of the coldest runs for next Thursday, 4, 5, 6 degrees. Some of the mildest, 12 or 13 degrees. You can see the operational run is in the middle, around 8 degrees. So I suspect that sort of 6, 7, 8 degree range is the most likely, and it will feel colder than that with the wind coming in from the north, and so even if those temperatures are a little bit milder than initially suspected, it's still going to be cold, as I said. So yeah, not looking great next week. If you look at the ECMWF run though, you can see though they're still very, very cold. The majority are bitterly cold coming into next week. So this is why I still put quite a bit of weight in it being quite wintry next week potentially. So you can see mild at the moment, then dropping very cold by the 29th. And you can see the operational run there from the ECMWF is with quite a few of the runs going down to that really quite cold level, bitterly cold level. And the control runs, again, once again, that thicker blue line, very, very cold indeed for quite a long period of time. We do return to above average around the 3rd, 4th of April, so around a 4-day cold spell there, and quite a few actually go really quite mild, potentially pushing the air up from the south. But for the time being, it does look very cold on these ECMWF run, very unsettled as well, potentially with some wintriness around as well. If you look at the 2 meter temperatures, you can again see widely majority of the ensemble members are in that sort of 5, 6, 7, 8 degree range, so really quite cold, but not absolutely bitterly cold, as that's almost impossible really this time of year. But it will be very cold indeed, feel like low single digits or even towards freezing in a few spots. And overnight we will see some frosts with this sort of air mass. So a little bit of a backtrack from especially the GFS and its ensembles today, but I very much do still put weight in it going cold next week, regardless if it's bitterly cold, i.e. sort of 4, 5, 6 degrees, or whether it's just generally colder than average, i.e. 8, 9 degrees. It's going to be chilly. It's going to feel cold as well, and it's going to be a real change from this week. So do make sure you keep up to date with the forecast, as there is still a little bit of uncertainty with it. It's going to go unsettled. It's going to be cold, and I do suspect a lot of people are going to be getting those wintry coats out. Hat and gloves are going to be needed next week as well. And of course, it's looking like precipitation will be returning quite widely in regards of persistent precipitation perhaps, and a lot of showers that could be wintry as well. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you do, and I'll see you again for another video soon.